Thank you for taking the time to come and listen to such an important topic. So, my name's Dorothy. I've been working with SIDS and kids for 2 years. Prior to that, I was a community nurse, and I also am a counsellor. But the reason I'm here today is really to help you find out about the safest way to sleep your baby. There's so much information that you get as a new parent, and it's quite overwhelming. And the important thing is that you need to understand the safe environment, because these safe sleeping standards have really reduced the number of infants that have died significantly in the last 20 years. As they said, any questions are welcome. We might run out of time, so our stall is just around the corner. So if we do run out of time, don't hesitate to come and have another chat. All right, SIDS and kids, we provide education on safe sleeping, telephone support. So once you have your baby, if you've got any questions, you need to know that you can ring us at any time, and no question's a silly question. We also provide free professional bereavement counselling for parents who do lose their children, either during birth or after birth, up to the age of 6 years of age. So as an organisation, that's the services we provide. So often when people hear about a baby dying, they just assume it's a SIDS death, but in fact there's a term called SUID, which means sudden unexpected death of an infant. So when you hear of a baby dying, it's not necessarily a SIDS death. We've actually managed to reduce the number of SIDS deaths dramatically from our safe sleeping programme. But sadly, 90% of deaths that occur in infants under 1 year of age in Australia, in South Australia, are due to SUID deaths. So just to give a bit of perspective, in 1990 we had about 550 infant deaths a year in Australia, and that's now down to about 63 a year. So in South Australia last year we had 2 SIDS deaths, and we had about 8 SUID deaths. So we don't hear about those reports in the newspaper because obviously it's not news that people want to know, but it's important information because the information about safe sleeping is very relevant. So these posters you'll see in hospitals and in your brochures. These are basically sleep guidelines. Sleeping your baby on the back with the head and face uncovered in a safe sleeping environment day and night. Keep the baby smoke-free during and after birth. Breastfeed if you can. And sleep the baby in the cot in the parent's room. Now, all of those have their own elements of information, and there isn't actually enough time to cover it in too much depth. But parents worry about the baby lying on their back. So when I was a child, my mum would have slept me on my tummy to sleep, and that was just standard practice. So anybody's having a baby, it's normal for your mum to say, but you slept on your tummy and you were fine, or this baby's a tummy sleeper and it'll be fine. But research has shown that actually it really contributes, it doubles the risk of a SIDS death, having a baby lie on their tummy. So when I say lying on their tummy, we're talking about those first 6 months before they've learned to roll. Okay, so those first 6 months, it's really important that they're on their back. And parents worry about their child choking. They think if they've just given it a feed, what happens if the milk comes up and it regurgitates? But this little picture here just shows we've got the esophagus down at the bottom, it's our food pipe, and the windpipe, the trachea. And so any milk that comes up in the food pipe actually gets pulled down by gravity. Whereas if you were lying on your tummy, the food would go by gravity down into your windpipe. So you're actually safer having your baby on your back. So any concerns about choking or mucus or anything like that, hold that thought in your head, okay? Parents worry about their babies having a flat head. So we really encourage supervised tummy time, and we've got plenty of tummy time brochures on our stall if you want to come and pick them up. The flat head grows out. Often it's more prevalent in boys. Boys have a more fluid around their brain, and so it's a bit squishier. So don't worry if your baby gets a flat head. The main thing is just changing position of your baby, from one end of the cot to the other. If you're breastfeeding, obviously you're changing sides, and that misshapen head will resolve itself. All right. Please never leave your baby to fall asleep on its tummy. It might look very cute just lying on its tummy on its mat, and please don't ever feel tempted to leave it lying on its tummy. All right, so here we've got a picture of in the bassinet when your baby's first born and when it transitions to the cot. All right, the picture just to show how feet down to the bottom of the cot. That's so the blankets don't cover over their head, so it reduces the risk there. Please don't use bumpers and quilts or pillows. All right, they're all for sale, but I don't mind if you have them for the first 4 months when your baby's in a bassinet and it's making the nursery look cute. But when your child's in that cot, no bumpers, no pillows, and no quilts. Grandparents often make sort of padded quilts, as long as they're tucked in firmly. We're talking about really, you know, the fluffy doona style of quilt. All right. So no pillows. These round U-shaped pillows are fantastic for feeding. They just bring the baby up to the right side. Totally love them, totally use them. They're great for propping you up in bed when you're feeding as well. But just don't get tempted to leave your baby, who's just at that 3-month wavering side, while you go and put the kettle on. It's just a great risk. If you go to your grandparents for dinner and you don't want to take the travel cot, please don't put your baby in the middle of their bed with pillows on either side. People think, oh, they're not rolling yet, so I'll just put them there and they're safe, but it's a really, really big risk. So please don't do that. And no pillows in the bed of a child under 1 year of age. I usually say when they get to the point where they are transitioning to a bed, they can have a pillow then. So wrapping. In the hospitals, wrapping is taught by the midwives to help the child as a cue for sleeping. It doesn't reduce the risk of SIDS, it's literally just as a cue for settling the baby, and very, very popular. If you come to the stall, I can go through all those details with you. So what you need, several layers of light bedding, tucked up firmly to the baby's shoulders, but no quilts. Sleeping bags. You'll see there's lots of sleeping bags around. At about 4 months of age, 4 to 6 months of age, the baby starts to learn to roll. And obviously, if their arms are all being wrapped in a muslin, they can't use their arms to get out. So sleeping bags are a great idea in that transitional period, and it means they don't have to have any blankets in the cot with them. So make sure that you get the right size for the season. It's not a time to be stingy. They are very expensive, so we understand that, but just getting the right size and make sure it fits nicely around the shoulders. In a South Australian winter, it might be that you do need a blanket, but we would try to get the tog and dress them with more layers underneath the sleeping bag rather than that. So we've actually gone through all the things that are unsafe for the baby. So other things that are dangerous are about leaving your baby unattended in a bouncinette or a stroller. It's very common. You've taken your child for a walk, they've gone to sleep, you just go and have a coffee. But we would suggest you taking the baby out of the pushchair and putting them back on their sleep, and making sure that they don't get left in any potential unsafe place. Also, no cords. Mobiles are fine, but just make sure they're not hanging over the cot or over the changing table, just a little bit to the right, so they can see them, but they can't fall on their head. So there's a lot of products out there. If you buy a cot in Australia in a store, it will have the label, the Australian Standard Safe label. Please ensure that you ask the retailer to show you the mattress that comes with the cot so that you can make sure it fits it really, really tightly. Your fingers need to fit really tightly. Sometimes you look at a cot and it's a big gap. Don't buy a mattress that's got a big gap in it at all. Just say, I want to see a mattress that fits this tightly, okay? If you have any problems, you can give me a ring. If you're traveling and you don't want to invest in a cot at the moment, a porta cot is all right, but it is important that you don't go and get an extra mattress to put in the porta cot. The mattress that comes with the porta cot is very thin, but it's perfectly adequate. And sadly, if people go and get another mattress, it doesn't quite fit. The mesh is soft and the baby is more at risk of suffocation and entrapment, okay? So if a friend's offered to loan you their cot, feel free to go and have a look at it. Just make sure it follows all those guidelines. If you go to our website, www.sidsandkids.org, it has the specifications of what a safe cot is. So if you've got any queries, you can certainly give me a ring. These are the picture on the website. That's the picture there, and there's a porta cot. Okay, so all that information is on our website. So car seats. Car seats have become a very, very popular way to transport our children. They've made our lives very, very convenient, but they're not actually designed for infant sleep. They're designed to help us get safely in the car one place to the other. So you imagine you've got a baby, you drop your older child off at school or kindy, you go and do the food shop, you go and have a coffee with a friend, you pop into grandma's. That baby might be in that car seat for 5 hours. and the baby isn't going to be as safe as it would be if it was lying on its flat. So please think about that. If you're going on long journeys, take regular breaks, okay? They really are just used for motor vehicle transportation. So as you can see, cords are also a risk. Make sure all your cords are bound up on the windows and they can't hanging down. Often in those early months, you're very safety conscious, but as they get older and they get more mobile, it's important that everything, and no dummy or pacifier cords either. Okay. So cigarette smoke is harmful. It literally doubles the risk of SIDS. If you're in a smoking environment or your partner smokes, please encourage them practice of having the smoking outside, wearing a jacket. If a relative coming to your house who smokes, just get them to put a jacket on, come into the house, wash their hands, make sure the jacket stays outside, because even the smell of the smoke can influence the child. So it's really, really important. The sensory mechanism, it interferes with their ability to wake. So don't do it. There's lots of products on the market, and this Expo is an example of that, but it's important to think about safety prior to purchase. Please, if you see anything that says it's got SIDS and Kids approved, give me a ring. We don't endorse any product that's on the market, so if you see something and it says it's SIDS and Kids approved, other than the Plum sleeping bags that sponsor our brochures, it's just marketing to you, okay? So, safe places to sleep your baby are in a bassinet, in a cot, in a portable cot, but not in a snuggle bed, all right? They're very popular, and babies look very cute, but they're like a pillow. So please don't put your baby in one of those, all right? Please don't sleep with them on a sofa alone. You have no idea how tired you're going to be, and you'll just be watching your favourite movie or the cricket, but please don't ever just go, right, my baby needs to sleep, I need to sleep. Put the baby in their bassinet or their cot to sleep. Sadly, we have a number of deaths that occur this way. Sleeping with the baby isn't safe either. It's really important. We totally encourage bringing the baby into the bed to breastfeed them and play with them and snuggle with them, and it's really strong attachment process. But once that baby's gone to sleep, make sure you put the baby in the bed. These are practices that you've just got to be really intentional about, because you have no idea how tired you're going to be. You might just go to sleep and half an hour later you've fallen asleep, but the bedding and the quilts and the pillows are just not safe. So you can roll on your baby, it can fall out of the bed, it can get caught in the pillows, and it just gets too hot. All right. The safest place to sleep your baby for the first 6 to 12 months is in your bedroom. Now, modern houses often aren't big enough. The main bedroom doesn't have room, so you have to be creative. It might be that you have to move your dressing table out to try and get that cot in the room with you, but it's safest next to you because you've got a quicker response time. You can hear the baby, they do snuffle and they make noises, but you're going to be much more sensitive to it. So monitors are on the market, and lots of parents have them and say it really alleviates their fear. We don't say that you need to have a monitor. It's not, been proven to save babies' lives, because actually when that monitor goes off, you as parents need to know what to do. You need to know first aid and to respond and ring ambulance quickly. So if you choose to have a monitor, go to Choice website and review them, but we don't actually say that you have to have one. All right. Cot restraints. Yesterday, I think I had about 5 people telling me there's somebody endorsing and saying SIDS and Kids say this is a safe thing, but actually they're not safe. If they come loose, they're a suffocation risk, and they also restrict the child's movement. So at about 4 months of age, your child's going to start learning to roll over. About a 3-week interval where they learn to roll and they can't roll back, and you have to be so vigilant and really watch them. But once they can roll onto their tummy and onto their back, they are going to be moving around their cot. They're going to be exploring in that cot, so they can resume their own sleeping position. But do not buy anything that ties them down into their bed. All right. And feel free to come and ask any questions at our stall. Or, if you don't get time today, just ring us at the office. I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but there's staff every day, Monday to Friday, and we are so happy to come and, any conversation. All right. Thank you.